Now the Walmart starting grid for today's Ford 400 alongside Kurt Busch on the front row. Dale Earnhardt Jr. trying to squeeze up into 10th place in the final standings. He's 52 points back. Jimmy Spencer and Joe Nemechek in row number 2. Spencer looking for a ride next year. Nemechek signed to one this week. Row 3, Greg Biffle, the NASCAR Busch Series champion, and the man trying to lock up the Winston Cup title today, Tony Stewart.
And back in row 4 on the inside, Jeff Burton. Kenny Wallace on the outside. Let's try talking to Kenny Wallace. Hey, Kenny, Benny Parsons, you got me?
10-4, Benny, I read you.
You guys had that Hills Brothers Dodge in the win the last couple of weeks, huh?
Yeah, Benny, we've been working hard. We've been doing a lot of testing, just trying to bring this Bill Davis car up to a competitive level, compete for a win.
Okay, tell me about the race car today.
Thank you. I think we got a good car today. We'll just have to get going, see how it all turns out. The track's got a lot of rain on it. Should be different.
All right, how soon do you think it's going to be before we can see the green flag and go racing?
Well, I think once we get the front straightaway dried off here from all the drivers' introductions, it looks good everywhere else. Just got to get this front straightaway dried off a little bit, get all the trash off the track.
Okay, show us something today.
Kenny Wallace going to start on the outside of row number 4 in the Bill Davis Racing Hills Brothers Dodge. Mark Martin got to come from row 17 if he's going to overcome Tony Stewart to win the championship. Talk about a tall order. That's the words Mark used to describe it earlier.
Very tough. Kevin Harvick, very good race car back in row 18. And check it out. First time ever, Jeff Gordon, a provisional start.
Couple of notes on the lineup you've just looked at. Ryan Newman, scheduled to start 15th, is going to go to the back of the field. His team changed an engine. And Jeffrey Bodine will drive the 26 car today. His brother Todd suffering from some back problems that he's been struggling with. You'll see Jeffrey's name on the failed to qualify list. The 09 car didn't make the show, but Jeffrey has jumped into the Discover card machine for today's race. And Bill, as Mark Martin rolled off onto the track today, here's what came across his team's radio channel.
Hey guys, we've got a lot of ground to make up. Let's get our heads in the game. Focus. This is our last hurrah here. Everybody just do the same job that they've been doing all year. Everything will be just fine. No matter what ends up, guys are the best guys on pit road, bar none. Thanks for all the hard work.
There you go.
Ben Leslie, the crew chief, addressing his team and driver.
And that's saying things like that is what makes those guys work hard to get in this position next year.
400 miles to decide who will be the NASCAR Winston Cup champion. The green flag is out at Homestead.
Great.
Pretty good so far. Everybody's giving each other a lot of room, DC.
Like I said, this racetrack is just really, really slippery, especially at the beginning, so you get a lot of heat in your tires.
And Tony Stewart has been able to get to the inside of the racetrack. He's not on the outside, concerned about someone below him getting out of shape.
He fell into line in front of Jeff Burton in 6th position as they complete lap 1. Back in the Hornet's Nest, we find Mark Martin, 31st right now.
Now, Mark obviously is going to be driving a lot more
trouble. Is that Schrader? No, it's Dave Blaney. Caution's out.
Man, and this team has been doing so well the last few races.
Dave Blaney started today 25th in line. Had his best finish, one of his career best finishes at this racetrack. And had a great run at Phoenix last weekend, but it's not going to be long today with that car in that condition, is it?
No, they'll have trouble putting fuel in the car. He can't run 400 miles without stopping and getting some gas.
Blaney in the championship, is that what you're asking me?
Yeah.
19th.
19th points.
Yeah. And in a tight fight for that spot.
Let's see, there he is, right in the middle. He goes in the corner, and the car just goes around.
Like I said earlier, very, very, very slippery up there. BP, you said in Thunder Motion this morning that if you get up high, no grip.
There's Mark Martin. He sees the 77 go by, but he realizes that he can be long gone on the inside before anything, the 77 comes back.
So Mark and Stewart both through the early trouble, and we're under caution just a couple of laps in here in the Ford 400. 2 laps complete. Kurt Busch, the early leader. Coming down to the restart here at Homestead, Mark Martin talking to his team a minute ago.
Y'all didn't change gears, did you?
Nope, same gear.
Man, this thing's making some RPMs right now.
Wow. Well, that 40 car, I know, pulled down there to avoid maybe a collision with the 17 car, but I believe he passed a few cars before the start-finish line.
If he did, he will be getting the black flag next time.
He would be. The word's gone out on the NASCAR radio channel. Post the 40. Put his number up on that board at the start-finish line and show him the black flag.
Tony Glover
Next time, clear all around.
giving him the bad news.
And the reason he has to do it next time by is because they use an access road to get onto and off the pit road here. It's at the entrance to turn 3.
Next time.
You can't just come into the pit road off the racetrack in turn 4, so he's going to go around again.
Yeah, Tony Stewart got penalized for crossing the grass to that road right there, and that possibly could have cost him the race last year.
Yep, or he might be 3 for 3 here. So McMurray is going to give up 10th spot for his stop-and-go penalty. There's that access road we were talking about. Up front, Kurt Busch is leading. 20th race this season. He's been out in front, and the 7th straight week that Kurt Busch has led the race.
And there's Mark Martin in heavy traffic as he comes off battling with the 19 car. That's a battle up about 27th, 28th. And put him in 28th that time by. And as I was saying earlier, when Blaney crashed, Mark's going to be a lot more aggressive than the 20 car because he has to be. 20 car's got to be a little bit more careful, but Mark has nothing to lose here.
So Mark is cleared of some of the traffic now. Next ahead of him will be Terry Labonte in the 5 car that he'll have to get to. You see Terry trying to work the outside of Ricky Craven just in front.
And they knew, Mark and his crew knew that this 6 car, this Viagra car, would not qualify well here at Homestead, Miami. I'm sure they felt like it would qualify in the top 10 or 15, but this is a car that Mark wanted to bring here because it's his favorite car. It's a car that handles well in the race. And Ricky Craven just moved on and said, go ahead, Mark, go on by. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, exactly. These guys do not want to get in a position where they're even going to race these 2 championship contenders.
Ford has already locked up the NASCAR Winston Cup Manufacturers Championship for this season. You see the victory totals coming into the final race of the year. You know, speaking of guys staying clear of the championship contenders, in the drivers' meeting this morning, the weekly briefing for drivers and crew chiefs 2 hours before race time, NASCAR President Mike Helton, among his remarks, was a warning to all the teams. He said, if anyone attempts to manipulate the outcome of the championship, they will be black flagged by NASCAR and brought to pit road and left to sit a little while to ponder what might be wrong with their car.
And meaning teammates should not get involved with the championship. You know, like, you don't want a team car for Mark Martin holding up the 20 car for any reason. That's what you mean by that.
So Mark's teammates being among them Kurt Busch or Jeff Burton, Tony Stewart's teammate being Bobby Labonte. As the lead changes hands and Dale Jr. goes to the front. So NASCAR said they'll be keeping a careful eye on that situation during the race today.
And Dale Earnhardt Jr. in front as he comes off down the front stretch. The fans give him the big salute. All stand up and wave and cheer.
Championship on gold at Homestead Miami Speedway in Florida. Joe Nemechek leads the Ford 400. Trouble, turn 2. Michael Waltrip is in the wall. Martin and Stewart made it through. And the caution flag is out.
Chef get his lap back.
Looks like Ryan Newman also. Did Ryan Newman get a lap back as well?
They are going to check the camera at the start-finish line, Benny, the photo finish camera to see, but Jeff Gordon definitely did. Michael Waltrip,
everything's flat.
Yeah, Michael finished second in this race a year ago. Thought he had a pretty good car for today. Not going to work out. Leaders coming to pit road.
Maybe a little nudge from the 40 car.
Yeah, looks like Jamie McMurray might have gotten into him back in the middle of the corner. And not good.
Not good.
It's a wonder we don't see more of that.
See all that debris up there? All that rubber and dirt?
All right. Hasn't been long since the last set of pit stops. Who'll get 2 this time, Dave?
Alan, it won't be Matt Kenseth, last week's winner. They will get 4. Car still a little bit loose, so they'll make another track bar adjustment. Take some air pressure out of the right rear. Marty?
And it won't be Mark Martin either, Dave. They're going to go with 4 tires again. They're gaining on it. He said the car's still a little bit tight, but I like what we're doing. 1 round to wedge in, Matt.
The leader, Nemechek, is in, and he is out of 2-tire change. They were going to go for 4. Joe Nemechek made the call himself. Bill?
Tony Stewart on pit road, a little snug in the center, make a small chassis adjustment. Again, they thought about 2 tires. Zipadelli said 4. Stewart said, I'm not going to disagree with you. Conservatively here, he's on his way.
Nemechek, Rusty Wallace, Greg Biffle, I believe Earnhardt Jr. and Dale Jarrett all just got 2 tires and got off pit road very quickly. Harvick, I think, as well. Another look at the incident that put us under caution.
Yeah, and you know, I talked about Jamie McMurray getting into Michael Waltrip, and that's where I thought it was right there. But Michael said he didn't think he got hit, and when we watched the replay, again, I don't think that McMurray did make contact with the 15 car.
So Michael Waltrip in the garage, McMurray a lap down in 26th place, and Joe Nemechek out in front as we go back under green. Ooh, Rusty Wallace up out of the groove.
And watch how much this is going to
Junior
cost
gets
him.
bounced off of by McMurray.
He's going to have a lot. Talking about that debris earlier, and they had the blowers out there a little while ago trying to help that situation. But
and now we've got him 3 wide going then to turn 3.
And he still doesn't have his tires clean, believe me.
And Rusty is still high on the racetrack, losing position after position.
Got some damage to that left front fender, too.
Yeah, you know he does. Junior may have some to, I guess it was the rear of Junior's car that made contact, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Right rear.
Rusty was 2nd last lap. This lap he's 9th.
Wow, look at everybody sliding around out there.
I hadn't heard anybody talking about any pavement problems this weekend, so that's just all rubber debris from the tires.
It's just a rubber coming off the tires. It just rolls up in little balls, and they're all over the racetrack.
2nd place now for Junior as he's through Kevin Harvick.
Folks, check this out going down to turn 1.
And watch, Rusty gets down in the corner. He just slides up a little bit into that area that we're talking about. Just catches the right rear, Dale Earnhardt Jr. But like I said, once you get that on your tires, it takes about a lap and a half here to get them off.
Let's go on board with Rusty Wallace and listen.
Inside, 2 inside, 3 inside.
Watch him steer.
Inside.
That's a lot of inside.
Double row inside.
And he was completely on the backstretch before he could finally get the throttle down to the floorboard.
And at some point, he just wants to hit the radio button and say to the spotter, quiet!
Look at the damage. He's got a tremendous amount of damage to that left front.
Yeah, yes, he does. I think he probably came out the worst of it. We haven't looked at Junior's car yet, but that left front fender means a lot here at Homestead.
Well, he got back around Ricky Rudd, so Rusty is up to 8th place. But yeah, look at that.
Whenever you damage those fenders like that, you're taking away downforce from the car most of the time. When you take away downforce from the car, you're taking away stick from those front tires.
Especially at a flat track, you need all of it you can get.
Spencer Harvick down in turn 1 and Biffle right behind Spencer.
That was close. And this is for third place, BP. Look at Johnson.
On the apron of the racetrack trying to look on the inside of Biffle.
Nemechek leads. Earnhardt Jr. is second. This is for third. Jimmy Spencer in his final drive in this 41 car for Chip Ganassi Racing.
And it's tough to make an outside pass here at
Oh,
Homestead.
little contact with Harvick, and Biffle's going to go by them both. Here comes Jimmy Johnson.
And Dale Jarrett trying to look on the inside of Harvick.
See how that car turned when the 48 car got on that apron, and it got sideways instantly.
Remember, Dale Jarrett had a flat tire back at lap number 21, stopped under the green. The cycle of pit stops worked out to where he was back on the lead lap when the caution came out at lap 75, and now he's back in the hunt for the win today.
Concern in the pit of Dale Earnhardt Jr. A few laps ago, right after the restart, he said, sounds like I might have a miss in the engine. They talked about changing over to the second ignition. They decided not to do that. He tried to explain the sound. He held the mic open on the radio when he went along the front stretch. The spotter says it does sound like it could be a valve spring going bad. But so far, he stayed out there. Hasn't said much the last couple of laps, but they are watching this car very closely.
Hey, Bill, I wonder if maybe that front fender caught the headers when Rusty and that A car got together and maybe loosened up the pipes a little bit, and that's what the sound may be.
Under green, 124 laps on the board. In the Ford 400 at Homestead Miami Speedway, Dale Earnhardt Jr. off the pace. A few laps ago, he called in and said, do you want me to blow it up or should I pull it in? They believe it's a valve spring problem. You can see the smoke out the right side of the car. So it's a valve spring problem, they believe, on the Chevy of Dale Earnhardt Jr. Disappointing into the season, was hoping to climb into the top 10 in points. Does not look like that will happen here at Homestead in the season finale.
You see Michael Waltrip has the Napa Chevrolet back on the racetrack.
He did a good job on the back of that.
Yeah, he did.
Pretty good.
And, you know, we talk about championship standings. Michael is still in a pretty good fight with Ricky Craven for 14th place and Bobby Labonte for 15th, so he's got to get back out there and finish as high as he can.
I didn't see that angle when he first came
out. Yeah, that's right.
I saw kind of about that angle. I said, yeah, it looks good.
Yeah, that's cosmetic, right? Spoilers intact, quarter panels intact.
That car will be loose. That car will be loose.
All right, singular call to the pits has got Matt Yoakum on the speed dial.
And now on the 25, making its long way down pit road. He's gone 2 straight runs on those left side tires. This will be a 4-tire change. They're short pitting. They just felt like they were losing way too much track position as Nemechek makes his way in. Remember, 2 years ago, this team won the season finale, hoping to do it again. Nemechek came in this car back in May 15th. They're starting to show a lot of promise. The car, though, a little free. They're going to also adjust with air pressure as they come around to the left side of the car. 3 Busch Series wins here. They pull a tearaway off. That was one complaint that he did have about the race car. He just had a hard time seeing.
Hey, Matt, you got to find out if those left sides had any tread at all left on them. Rusty Wallace in. They're not going to be able to do... Matt?
And the Blue Deuce in, 4-tire change. They adjusted this race car with air pressure in the right rear. Rusty told Billy Wilbur and the crew chief, just way too free.
And what you were starting to say is that they're not going to have a chance to fix that fender under the green. Check this out a second ago while we were watching those pit stops.
Bobby Hamilton goes by Tony Stewart, and here's Mark Martin coming up on the inside. He drives by Tony Stewart.
So Martin up to 12th. Marty?
Greg Biffle having a strong run now, and wow, Tim Schrader had to slam on the brakes to avoid from hitting Greg Biffle. A little tight for Biffle, and they had to take some wedge out of that car for Biffle, trying to loosen him up, having a great run in the top 10.
Tony Stewart is falling like a stone here on these last 2 laps on this set of tires. He's just been passed by Bobby Hamilton, Ryan Newman, Ted Musgrave, and Ricky Rudd.
Yeah, they need to come in now because he's losing way too much track position right now. So they really need to get that car in and get some tires on it as quick as possible.
And Jeff Burton just went by him. There goes Elliott Sadler by him. Those are all for positions.
Hey, Bill, they're not worried about trying to get to a window where they can make it on one more stop, or is there something wrong with this 20 car?
Just the handle has gone away, Benny, talking about it on the radio, but leaving him out there. Don't want to take a chance on getting caught by the caution flag. Working it out between Zipadelli and Stewart.
Well, with the pad that he's got on Mark Martin, that's not a bad call. Matt, what about Jimmy Johnson?
Well, Chad Canals, Jimmy's crew chief, just told him, you keep doing what you're doing. Everyone is trying to short pit us, but we are still all right. The car looks good on the stopwatch. So that's exactly what they're doing. They're going to try to go to the edge of their window for this run.
So Johnson out in front by 3.1 seconds over now Dale Jarrett, with Kurt Busch third, Jimmy Spencer fourth, and Ward Burton up to fifth. Remember, the standings shuffled a little bit by the pit stops. You see those who've already stopped in
Yellow.
Okay.
If you would have said yellow, we would have said gold.
I know. That's why I let you have your say.
The cars that have not stopped, as you see, are in white.
Jimmy Johnson, one of four drivers who've been out in front of this race today and hoping to pick up his fourth victory of his rookie season. And bypassing that pit opening once again.
Darren, the alligator wolf, goes to work on the front. Randy Cox to the back. No adjustments to Marty.
Mark Martin has made his way up to the 9th position on that run, Matt. Again, the car is loose. He was tied earlier. They're going to go halfway back on the adjustments they made to start the race. 1.5 rounds back in the right side, trying to tighten up Mark Martin. Left side tires go on. He's off the racetrack. Another great stop, Bill. Tony Stewart has an opening in the pit wall in front of his stall, so it's easy in and he'll get easy out because the 12 is already come and gone. Chassis adjustment, wedge, track bar, air pressure. 2 laps ago we said this car is just awful. Big changes. That could be the stop that decides the Winston Cup Championship.
Good stop.
I mean, under the kind of pressure those guys were under, that was a terrific pit stop.
He's given up some track position to Mark Martin. We'll see how it works out now that their cars have been adjusted and they're on fresh tires. And they can go out and race head-to-head. But remember, Mark needs to finish a good chunk in front of Tony to have a shot at this championship. Today's leaders, Joe Nemechek, out in front by 0.8 of a second on Dale Jarrett with 78 laps to go in the Ford 400. Jimmy Spencer, who was running third, is now running sixth. Problems on that 41 car. Matt, what do you think's going on there?
Well, Alan, a few laps ago, Jimmy came on the radio and said, guys, I think I may have a tire going down. The car has just gone from loose to bad loose to wicked loose. The guys are on the wall, ready to pit the car if Jimmy needs to come earlier than his scheduled stop.
I will concur with Jimmy. That is wicked loose we're watching right there.
Jimmy Spencer has big hands, but he's got both his hands full trying to keep that 41 car going straight. Mark Martin trying to go forward.
Well, he's trying to get around the lap car, Jeremy Mayfield, BP. Actually, he's lost a spot. Jeff Burton, his teammate, went by him a minute ago, Marty.
Alan, he continues to run in the top 10. You see points as they stand right now. 56 behind is Mark Martin. He needs to gain a lot more than that. Currently 11th for Mark Martin. I just asked Ben Leslie, how's the car? He said it's just okay. It's not spectacular, just okay. Bill? Working lap 192 of this race. On lap 188, Tony Stewart to his crew, real loose. You see the 25 dash inside of him. Real loose for Tony Stewart as he falls off the lead lap with Nemechek going by.
That's big because if a caution comes out,
yes, sir,
Tony loses the opportunity to gain a lot of positions back if they straighten the handling on this car out.
Yeah, and he's got to restart back in that mess.
Now 21 cars on the lead lap. Tony Stewart not among them. Problem for Mark Martin is he needs spectacular. Okay, he's not going to get done.
No, I mean, he's got to have a spectacular run. Today, he's just not been able to do it. And Tony Stewart is just, he's hanging in there where he needs to be.
Tony Stewart needs to finish 22nd or better if Mark Martin wins the race. Right now, Mark's only running 11th, and Tony is running in 22nd place.
Yeah, Tony's car just looks awful right now.
32, Ricky Craven, couple of laps down. He's in 29th spot. Dale Jarrett is the second place car, the UPS machine, trying to make the pass.
Look at that.
Both those cars go by Tony Stewart. Jimmy Johnson. See Jack Sprague back on the racetrack. Did he spend some time in the pits?
No.
Well, he made an unscheduled stop early, I guess, is what I was thinking of.
Michael Waltrip's back on the track after some time behind the wall. Mikey 56 laps down in 42nd place. Involved in a crash at lap number 94 over in turn 2. And had some rather direct comments about the track conditions they're racing under today.
Listen to the accelerator. Just to sound like he's a quarter throttle.
Yeah.
As he tries to.
He gets in and then he backs off it.
Oh, big crash, turn 1. Jimmy Spencer.
Well, it finally got real loose.
Get out of there. It's on fire, buddy. And you don't know what happened. It just blew up, I guess, going in.
Caution is out. And Spencer wiggling out of that car, and it's good to see. Did Stewart get a lap back there? No. Tony did not get his lap back.
It's on fire, buddy. Get out. I see him getting out on TV. He's okay. He's getting out.
Good to see that Jimmy's okay.
Well, that thing was terrible loose. He was right. We've been watching that. He's had his hands full. We don't know.
Well, you know, he wondered if he had a tire going down. Something happened where he crashed is very early in the corner. You could see the marks on the wall if you look back. Yeah, he crashed very early in the corner, so something happened to that car.
Something mechanical, definitely.
See that? Look at that.
Take a look here. See him coming down the straightaway right there. And that thing just turned sideways on its own.
Right rear tires.
No.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah, it was flat.
Yeah, it is flat.
Yep.
So he did have a tire going down like he suspected. Wow, that guy standing there got warm.
See that photographer?
Yeah.
And Greg Biffle did the same thing yesterday. You know, stayed out there with a flat tire, did not crash, but might have cost himself a victory.
All right, here come all of the leaders onto pit road. Dave?
Track bar down again, still loose, 4 tires. Matt Kenseth, this run when they go back out will be 4 laps longer than the last run they made. Marty?
Mark Martin says the car still feels just a little bit loose to me. One turn into the left rear for Mark. That should tighten him up just a bit. 4 tires. Matt?
Nemechek was going to make his last stop at lap 210. He asked Peter Suspenzo, can we go the distance from here? He said no. 4 tire change, no adjustments for Joe Nemechek.
Bill, right side tires are already on for Dale Jarrett. Lefts are on. He's got fuel. He's on his way.
And he's going to beat Joe Nemechek out.
Yes, he is.
Way to go, guys.
But you know what, guys? Believe it or not, we're in that fuel situation.
I wish we were not going to say that.
Some cars might be able to make it from here the rest of the way.
And how about Tony Stewart? We talked about how big a moment it was when Joe Nemechek put him a lap down at lap 192.
This is not where he wants to be.
Now, by being 1 lap down, the farthest up in the field he can get is 22nd place, unless he can run well enough to get back on the lead lap. Tony Stewart trying to get a lap back from Dale Jarrett.
And Jarrett got up high going down in turn 1. We've seen cars several times when they make that high entry. The car slides up the hill, the 10 car. And now Jarrett weaving his car back and forth, trying to get that debris off his tires.
Well, as you guys said at the top of the broadcast, people don't want to be messing with the championship contenders today and take a chance on being the one to take them out.
I said during break here, we were talking about, I bet that 88 doesn't run the 20 real hard down into turn 1 on this restart.
Now the question is, how effective are the adjustments that Greg Zipadelli made to Tony Stewart's car? Can he stay in front of Dale Jarrett as things settle out and they start to put some laps on?
Probably not too long. I think Dale Jarrett will probably catch Tony. Like you said, if they didn't make a big improvement on the car, he's going to catch him in 5 or 6 laps. But maybe they made the right call.
Johnny Benson also threw Jarrett, tail end of the lead lap, so that's a bumper car for Tony Stewart. And, of course, Tony's best hope now is for a quick caution. Stewart 21st, Benson 22nd. Last car on the lead lap, that's Johnny in the 10, just in front of Dale Jarrett, the leader, in the 88.
And in this business, when you have a caution flag and bunch all these cars up, a lot of times it brings out another caution flag.
Here comes Nemechek closing on the back bumper of the 88 Dale Jarrett. So Jarrett's going to have to get around these guys.
Mark Martin running 6th after the restart with, by the way, 2 Roush Racing teammates ahead of him in the standings. Kurt Busch running 3rd, Jeff Burton running 5th. Might there be team orders if this thing winds down this way into the closing laps? So Joe Nemechek back out in front. He's led 106 of the 224 laps that we've run today. He's been the dominant car. Marty, what's this about Jeff Burton?
Yeah, not so fast about his teammate Matt Kenseth. Jeff Burton may be sitting the prettiest of them all. In 5th position right now, Paul Andrews tells me, yes, we can go all the way on fuel. They needed 9 laps of caution last time. Guess how many laps of caution there were?
Oh, it's a 17 car. It's blowing up.
Matt Kenseth. Well, so much for that. No caution, though. Even though he left a little stream of liquid behind him on the access road.
He got off the racetrack pretty quick. You can see the oil.
Yeah. Now here comes Jimmy Johnson on Kurt Busch for 3rd. Not quite. Bill.
Tony Stewart on the radio in his car saying there is oil all over the racetrack where the 17 car erupted, trying to get NASCAR's attention through the official working their pit. Now the spotter also saying they can see oil on the racetrack. Zipadelli standing up with Tony on the radio saying there's oil on the racetrack, which obviously you would expect him to say.
Yeah, exactly.
Marty.
And you can imagine that sent panic through Mark Martin's pits. Jeff Paxton, one of the head engine builders for Roush Racing, went back immediately, ran to see what happened to the 17 car. Harry McMullen is another head engine builder for Roush Racing, sits on top of the toolbox at Mark Martin's pit, staring at the 17 car, wondering what happened and if it might happen to the 6.
I am monitoring NASCAR's race control channel. They're checking with their spotters out in turn 3 and 4, and they're saying the track looks clean.
Yeah, they're not.
Oh, wait, caution. Caution's out. They've just put the caution out for oil in turn 3.
Oil in turn 3.
So Tony Stewart does get that lap back, as does Johnny Benson.
Okay, take the fuel mileage to the finish out of the equation. Put Tony Stewart back on the lead lap along with Johnny Benson. And here we go head-to-head on pit road for track position with 40 laps to go. Do we get any 2-tire stops? Marty.
Allen, pit stops that could play a critical role in the race for the Winston Cup Championship for 2002. Mark Martin said we have to tighten this thing up. It is way too loose. They're going to take out 2 rounds out of the right rear wedge. He said it is way too loose right now. Who made the call for that wedge adjustment? 43-year-old Mark Martin, and 2 tires. They're going for the win, Matt.
Marty, Joe Nemechek came on the radio on the access road. He says, guys, you know what I want to do. Peter Suspendel said, yep, 2 tires. No changes for the 25, Bill.
Big cheer in the pit of Tony Stewart when the caution came out. They told him, wait a day, guy. What do you want to make the car better? You give me more fight, I'll make the car turn. wedge, track bar, small air pressure adjustment, take the tear away off the windshield, around to the left side now, left side's bolted on. This could be Tony Stewart's run to a Winston Cup.
All of the leaders took 2 tires. Dale Jarrett got 4. He's going to fall way back in the pack. Tony Stewart got 4.
Well, he had no choice but to put on 4 because he's not trying to win the battle. He's trying to win the war.
$14,300 miles of racing in the season so far, and it all comes down to these final 35 laps, just over 50 miles. The championship hangs in the balance. Tony Stewart running 20th, Mark Martin running 6th. Traffic, a tough racetrack, a mistake by someone could turn a whole season's worth of work into a steaming pile of junked race car. 34 laps to go. Ryan Newman is the leader.
Green flag, green flag.
Kurt Busch did not get a good start.
No, he did not.
Lap cars scooting by to the inside of second place Jimmy Johnson.
And those lap cars, I think probably some of those guys have tires, so that's why they're making it look so easy getting by those guys that didn't take any tires.
Cleanly off 2.
That dust that you saw when the 12 car went by was oil dry.
Oh, Jimmy Johnson with the wiggle when he tried to get under Jeff Green. Gathers back up. 97 is Kurt Busch. He's the other car on the lead lap. Trying to get second spot away. Things are getting tense.
I think Jimmy Johnson's wishing he took some tires right now.
I think he is too, because he and Busch are side by side. And looks like Busch is going to get the spot.
30 car not on the lead lap. Jeff Green. For second place, it's the 97 and the 48. Tony Stewart working his way through the traffic. He's picked up a couple of spots since the restart. He's up to check that, 18th. 28 car, Ricky Rudd is the next one. If he passes him, he'll get 17th.
Oh. He's 3 wide, Tony, 3 wide. Somebody hit the brake. Oh! Close. Fortunately, I think both of them hit the brakes, Ricky Rudd and Tony Stewart.
You know, Joe Gibbs, and ooh, contact in front of him, parts flying.
And that makes Tony Stewart more nervous than anything is when...
Trouble in the corner. John Andretti loses an engine. Is there oil on the track? Does the 20 make it through?
Yep, 20's on the bottom of the racetrack.
There is oil on the track. You saw Robbie Gordon spin. Stewart's going to get through and come back to the caution.
I was just saying, that's the last thing you want to see at your windshield is somebody having trouble in front of you.
Wow. Mark Martin in front of all that on the racetrack when Andretti had his problem. That's too bad for John. He was on the lead lap having a good run. Check it out. What happened? It put us under caution.
John Andretti, I mean, that just smoke just every place, but most of the guys are below the smoke. But look at all those cars up on the high side. Have no idea where they are. Robbie Gordon, the 31 car, does spin around and does not hit anything.
It's right along with Robbie. Going down into turn 3. Trouble, see the smoke? Yeah, there's not much you can do there. And once he got in the marbles there, he couldn't slow the car down enough to not hit the wall. Just look at that.
Watch on board with Tony Stewart when he goes in the corner. But you can see he's down below all the smoke. He can see the racetrack.
Yeah. 23 laps to go. With the championship in the balance, Tony running 15th, Mark Martin 6th, Ryan Newman leads.
Kurt Busch is just not getting the restarts he wants.
He's going to get a lap car, maybe two, between himself and Newman.
Up there on that high side, which is real slick on these restarts.
Joe Nemechek is up there as well, that 25 car.
And Tony Stewart back in the traffic. There's Nemechek inside of Jeff Gordon. That's 4th place.
They are stacked up back there.
And Tony going 3 wide on the outside, passing a 7 car of Jason Lepler. Man.
Right around where that dark streak of oil had been from the Andretti car that was dried up. Stewart working on Ricky Rudd for 15th place. He did lose that spot to Rudd in that shuffle. He's back to 16th.
Listen to that. They just can't get on that throttle, can they, Benny?
No, they sure can't. Now look 3 wide, Tony. Easy. Okay. Man. Okay, now you can go on the inside and try to get by the 28 car.
This would be drive throttle, drive defensively mode here for Tony.
And right behind these 2 cars, now the 97 car right now is a little bit faster than the 12, but the fastest car of all might be Nemechek.
Yes, sir.
So Kurt Busch wants to get by as quick as he can.
Because he does. He looks like he's a little bit faster than Ryan BP, but boy, it's hard to pass somebody sometimes. A lot of times when you get by a guy, you'll leave him, but this racetrack talked about is so narrow where you have to race, you can't get underneath the guy.
There we go.
He got underneath him that time.
Kurt Busch out in front. Coming to 10 laps to go. He led the first 10 laps of the race. He might lead the last 10 and pick up the victory.
Man, has he been on a roll the last couple of months, that 97 car?
Well, they have.
You talk about him as far as guys who might look for that championship in 2003. Kurt Busch should be a strong contender. How about Tony Stewart? With Mark Martin falling back, well, actually just picked up a spot. He's up to 7th now. Got back by Elliott Sadler.
Tony is loose off and laying on the 26 car.
Now here comes Nemechek, the 25 car. This is what Kurt Busch does not want to see.
Yeah,
what he wanted to see was them racing side by side, though, because he's gotten away pretty quickly. Jeff Gordon and Jimmy Johnson going to race for 5th and 6th positions. And even if he loses this spot, what a season it's been for Johnson in that 48 car.
It has been phenomenal.
3 victories, going to finish somewhere in the top 7 in the championship in his rookie season. Mark Martin right behind them. May be able to pick up a couple of spots quick if they get together.
Oh, yeah. That's how you race your owner.
7 to go.
Yep. Chad was right and Jimmy, the crew chief, was right. They should have taken tires on that 48 car, huh? Remember that last stop, he wanted to put a couple of tires on it.
At least 2.
At least 2, and the driver talked him out of it.
Here is 3rd place. Jeff Burton in the 99 trying to take the long way around Newman in the 12.
And I'm sure Newman's doing a lot of sliding right now. Hoping for these next 6 laps to go by quickly.
Now we're getting close to calling the election for Tony Stewart. I know we're in Florida, but hear me out, Wally. The worst, with Mark Martin running in 8th, Tony clinches the title by finishing 37th or better. 38th place on down are out of the race already. 37th place is 7 laps down. So I think at this point we can call Florida for Tony Stewart.
I think so, huh?
I need my little dry ink board there. What is it that Russert uses?
Let's let him run one more lap just to be sure.
Well, let's let him run all 5.
Yeah. That'd be even better.
Waving Steve Park by. Tony will go to 18th position. Mark Martin is running 4th, but it's not going to be enough. Next time, the white flag waves for leader Kurt Busch. And Tony Stewart will be 1 lap away from finishing off a very turbulent Winston Cup season with a champion's celebration. The headlines have been many involving Tony Stewart, not all of them good. The incident at Indianapolis with the photographer, much publicized. Tony put on probation by his sponsor for the rest of the season. But he and that team had so many opportunities to come apart at the seams from all the off-track distractions that were going on, and they didn't.
It made them stronger because it brought them much closer together as a team. As you see, the white flag is waving on this field.
It's the final lap of the 2002 season. Tony Stewart, 1.5 miles from a NASCAR Winston Cup championship. Kurt Busch is out in front of the race, looking to pick up his 4th victory of the season. 3 of those will come in the last 5 weeks of the year. Put Kurt Busch on your calendar as a Winston Cup title contender for 2003. Checkered flag is up. The Ford of Roush Racing wins the Ford 400. Kurt Busch is the winner at Miami. 2nd for Nemechek, 3rd for Jeff Burton. Mark Martin's title bid will be a strong one today. He'll finish 4th. But at the end of the day, the big trophy will go to Tony Stewart. The Rushville Rocket from Indiana is the 2002 NASCAR Winston Cup champion.
And there's a big sigh of relief.
Yes, it is.
It didn't come easy at a track where they've dominated. In the 3 previous Winston Cup races here, an 18th place finish for the 20 car today, but it did the job. 2nd Winston Cup championship for Joe Gibbs Racing, and Tony Stewart is now just the 25th man in history to wear a NASCAR Winston Cup champion's ring.
With me, take a deep breath. It's over, buddy.
Yeah, it is. Thanks for this man right there. I had the opportunity to put a great team together. I don't even know what to say, man. It's been a long year.
You came here from New Britain, Connecticut, a young guy, worked with Jeff Burton for a while, but you produced the 25th Winston Cup champion in Tony Stewart. He said before the race, if it weren't for you and these guys, this would have never happened this year.
Yeah, we've had a tough year. You know, it's been up and down, but it sure makes it all worth it.
Mark, talk to us about your comments to your crew and just how hard you guys worked today to try to get this championship.
Well, we gave it everything we had. Those guys just were a little bit stronger than us, but what an effort, man. You know, we came from the back of the pack, and we wrestled ill handling all day, and we got it right at the end, and the car was just really, really good, and we worked our way up all day, and that's, I only regret that I could have provided more leadership for this team so that we could have scored an extra 100 or 150 points this year somewhere along the line altogether, and then we would have won it, hands down. But we didn't, and I couldn't. I've done all I could, and I'm proud of what we accomplished.
And for the first time in his career, Kurt Busch wins from the pole. And now he's going to go into the mosh pit of the Rubbermaid guys. What a statement. What kind of statement does this send the competition for next year?
This is unbelievable. I couldn't believe it. As many competitors were up there at the end as there were, and I just shut him out. I said, we got to go for the victory. There's no way they can get by us if we do that. And just an awesome day. I mean, this is unbelievable. To get a car that would work good and get a pole and to work well enough to win a race, it's unbelievable. This team can do it. We've been building cars. Great sponsor, Newell Rubbermaid, and Coca-Cola. Ford, this is their race. We had to bring a Ford to victory lane. And, of course, Kraft Foods, just an awesome year. We can't wait next year.
Third win in the last 5 weeks. You must hate to see this season come to an end.
We're going to Talladega, then we're going to Daytona, and then we're going to Vegas to test. So I just can't wait to get back in the car. And thank you, Jeff Burton, Mark Martin. Congratulations to him. Matt Kenseth for winning the most. Our shop got a lot of work done this year. I don't know how many wins we got. Is that 9 or 10? That's the deal right there.
They are very productive. Their fourth win this season, Alan.
Kurt Busch was one of those drivers locked up in that tight fight for third in the final championship standings. And he will obviously hang on to it with his victory today. Jeff Gordon moving up 2 spots in the final rundown with his 5th place finish today. Back-to-back rookies, 5th and 6th, Johnson and Newman. And Rusty Wallace winds up 7th. Ricky Rudd with the final spot on stage at the awards night, December 6th.
You want to hold that up for everybody out there to see it one time? Here's your champion, ladies and gentlemen, Tony Stewart. An amazing season concludes with a championship for Tony Stewart, and he'll hand off the trophy. And now as he takes off his jacket, because he doesn't really need that here. Tony, you are the new champion, and here comes the big celebration. Yep. That's amazing. Before you pop that, come on out here. I just got one question for you, Tony. I know you want to celebrate with your guys. You're the new champion. Are you ready to be the leader of this sport?
Well, I don't know if I'm qualified to be a leader of this sport, but, you know, guys like Richard Petty and Dale Earnhardt are what made this sport what it is, and all we can do is just do the best we can. I mean, this is a tough series, but, you know, the greatest thing was coming down pit lane there and seeing my peers and from different teams and, you know, different car owners and drivers and crews just they're what make this series what it is. I'm not going to change anything, and I'm not going to try to, but, you know, I'm not the leader of this sport. Everyone in this garage area does their part, and, you know, everybody at NASCAR does a great job of making sure that the playing field's level for us and that, you know, that we're able to do what we do each week. But, you know, these crews and their families are the ones that sacrifice their energy and time to do all this, and, you know, it's not me, it's all of us. We're all doing this together.